Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to episode 37 of Untold Evidence. In December 2025, a documentary film called Age of Disclosure was released to the public. It was directed by Dan Farah. It was produced by Skywatcher Studios. It featured interviews with current and former American officials, military personnel, and intelligence community veterans, discussing what they describe as the United States government's classified knowledge of unidentified anomalous phenomena. The documentary is unusual for two reasons. Firstly, the caliber of people on camera, senior figures, some still serving, speaking in a forum not protected by classification. Two, the political response of it. After watching the film, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace said publicly that she had learned more from that documentary than she learned in any official congressional briefing. She said she wanted to put United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio inside a sensitive, compartmented information facility, an SCIF, to find out what he knew. Age of Disclosure runs for approximately 110 minutes. I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't already. The interviews are organised around a central claim. The elements of the United States government have for decades possessed materials and information indicating that not all identified aerial objects are of human origin. The film's named participants include Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defence for Intelligence, Ross Coulthart, an Australian investigative journalist who has covered the UAE topic for over a decade, several active and retired military personnel, and crucially, commentary attributed to Secretary of State Marco Rubio from his earlier role as Vice Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. It is the Rubio thread that has driven the political response, because Rubio, in his prior congressional role, had access to classified UAP briefings. He has, in the documentary's framing, said things on record about what he knows. So in December 2025, Representative Nancy Mace gave an interview to journalist Matt Laszlo of the publication SCIF UAP. Mace said, in her own words, she felt Congress needed to do a hearing all over again because details had been shared in the documentary that she had never heard of in a classified setting. She added, "I want to get into an SCIF with Secretary Rubio and find out what he knows about the UAP issue." For the avoidance of doubt, this is a sitting member of the United States House of Representatives saying publicly that an open source documentary film contained information that her own classified briefings had not. That is unusual. That is, by the standards of how American intelligence oversight is supposed to work, something close to a structural failure. For multiple decades, they have kept these secrets very secret. Why the sudden leak? In a separate development, also in December 2025, Republican Representative Eric Burleson of Missouri confirmed that the House UAP committee had identified a new whistleblower. Burleson's interview with SCIF UAP, dated the 16th of December 2025, said the following: "Right now, we are focused on getting some people in an SCIF, those who would not be comfortable at this time going public." This is in shape the opposite of David Grusch's hearing of 2023. In 2023, David, a former intelligence officer, testified in a packed, televised, public congressional hearing. He stated on the record that the United States government was concealing recovered craft of non-human origin. The new whistleblower, in 2025, is reported to be following the opposite path: classified briefing first, public testimony possibly later. The strategic shift is significant. It suggests Congress and the witnesses have learned from what happened to Grusch. David Grusch, following his 2023 testimony, became a special advisor for the UAP transparency on the staff of Representatives Burleson has in March 2025. He continues in that role until 2026. For viewers who didn't follow the 2023 hearing in detail, a brief summary of what he said under oath in front of Congress in a public televised hearing is as follows. 1. He claimed the United States operates a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval program. 2. He claimed materials of non-human origin are in the possession of US private contractors and federal agencies. 3. He claimed the public disclosure of these matters had been blocked through what he described as an illegal classification process. His claims have not been independently verified by an external party. The Pentagon, through the AARO, has formally said it found no evidence to support them. However, Grusch's response in subsequent statements has been that the people with access to the relevant programs are not the same people running the AARO. Now, the case for skepticism. Documentaries are not evidence, they are advocacy. A film with a stated thesis selects and presents material to support that thesis. An hour of testimony from a senior figure in a documentary is not the same as an hour of cross-examination under oath. Nancy Mace's statement that she learnt more from the film than from her classified briefings is in itself ambiguous. It could mean that classified briefings have been incomplete. It could also mean that the documentary contained materials that classified briefings rightly did not include, because it's not verifiable. A briefing that includes only verifiable information will be by definition contain less material than a film willing to entertain unverified claims. Whistleblowers, as a class, sometimes provide genuine and crucial information that institutes have failed to investigate. They also sometimes provide false or mistaken information, but still in good faith. The Soviet Union archives, the United States Air Force institutional history, and the broader history of UFO research all contain examples of both. So caution is not the same as dismissal, but neither is a willingness to listen. So here is what is structurally on the table in early 2026. A new whistleblower currently being briefed in a classified setting. A documentary film that has had a documented effect on the views of sitting United States lawmakers. A presidential directive of unclear scope. A defence policy bill containing the UAP-related provisions. A federal records review that is technically now in motion. Each of these things taken individually, it's small. However, taken together, they constitute the densest period of UAP-related government activity in modern American history. What is missing in any single verifiable declassified document that would substantially change the public record? The optimistic framing is that we're watching the slow opening of a door that has been closed very firmly for the better part of 80 years, arguably longer. The pessimistic framing is that we've been here before. In 1947, in 1969, in 1997, in 2017, in 2023. And that door, each time, proved capable of remaining closed, tightly shut. The next 12 months will tell us which framing was correct. In the meantime, a documentary film, a congresswoman in Washington, and a whistleblower in an SCIF facility are quietly rearranging the political furniture of a question that older institutions have spent decades declining to answer. Names matter, records matter, facts matter. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.